In this video, I'll show you in simple and practical terms what's the difference between cooking with a light or a heavy pan. You see, it's all about heat retention. Are you a butterfly or a heavy-duty type of cook? Let's find out. Hey, I'm Papa Mao. I'm here to encourage and help people transition away from non-stick cookware as a way to care for their loved ones and for the environment. In this channel, I show how easy it is to cook with carbon steel and cast iron cookware. I share my experience as an everyday dad cook and as a weekend outdoor warrior. Welcome! In cooking terms, heat retention is just the pan's ability to capture heat and stay hot once you add the food. A pan with poor heat retention will cool down instantly and your food will just stay there doing nothing and eventually boiling in a pool of water. And let me show you exactly what I mean with this simple example. I preheated this non-stick pan to 200 degrees Celsius, turned off the heat and dropped in an ice cube. The ice started to melt, pulling energy out of the pan as it tried to evaporate. But eventually the pan just cooled down and what I was left with was just a puddle of water on a cold pan. Now watch the same test with this 3mm carbon steel pan. Same preheat, same ice cube. Look at how much energy it had stored. The first cube evaporated in seconds and the pan still had enough heat to melt and vaporize a few more. That is heat retention. And that is my own Yahgan pan, by the way. Okay, let's grab some chicken breasts. One of the most common victims of light pans. How many times have you heard of people complaining that they are tasteless, dry or chewy? Now watch this. In a light pan, the chicken cools the surface down instantly and the juices start pooling underneath. By the time the pan heats back up, the water is boiling your food, leaving you with a soggy and flavorless piece of chicken. Now compare that with this 3mm carbon steel pan, same as we used before. The chicken seared straight away. And look underneath, no pool of juice, no steam. In other words, the superpower of heavy pans is the ability to cook at lower temperatures without boiling your food. I call that dry cooking, and that's heat retention. It gives you a crispy brown crust and a juicy, evenly cooked inside. Not all food benefits from heat retention. Eggs, veggies, and pancakes, for example, just to name a couple, you can cook them in just about any pan. But proteins in the other side, like steaks, fish, poultry, I find that it's a lot easier to get consistent, excellent results in a heavy pan. From my experience, I think a heavy pan can do the job of a light pan and a lot more. But the question is, can I cook steak in a light pan, for example? Well, I think you can. You can get decent results, but it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of tweaking on the heat knob, and a lot of luck. You know what's the challenge with light pans? If you go too low, you get the tendency of food to start boiling, and that really screws the texture and the taste of your food. And if you want to correct that, you need to crank up the heat, and then you start really burning into your food, but it's still raw inside, right? So in my experience, the beauty of a heavy pan is that you can sear it perfectly and then you can go low and slow just to get that consistent level of cooking internally. I find that the steaks, the fish, the chicken comes out browny and crispy on the outside and tender and juicy in the inside. Just exactly what you want. And that's exactly why heat retention matters for a lot of people. And here's a really interesting part. At a certain point, it just stops contributing to your cooking, right? Say cast iron, for example, huge heat retention, like probably more than my carbon steel pan, right? But it comes with a price, like it's gonna weigh a kilo more than this, and I achieved the same results with less weight, so it's easier to handle. So why not, right? I think that's a positive. That's a great thing about not only this one, about any thick carbon steel cookware. You know, you get that amazing heat retention for a fraction of the weight. Now, having said that, this is heavy, okay? It's 1.8 kilos, depending on who you are, right? For a big guy like me, I handle this like nothing, okay? But my wife struggles to pour food into a plate, for example, and will have to do it with a spoon, right? So it's easier, more manageable than cast iron, still heavy. You need to find what works for you. Now, a lot of people will have multiple pans. Like, that's great, right? You can use a very light carbon steel pan or whatever for eggs, and then if you want to cook a steak, maybe once a week, you can grab the heavy one. But it's all good. I mean, you need to do what works for you. In our next video, we're taking heat retention into steak territory. And I may just show you how we cook steaks in Argentina. I'll give you a few tips that may just blow your mind. I'll see you in the next one.